Marriage is one of God's most powerful institutions, and yet it is also one of the most abused, especially when scripture is taken out of context. Today we're talking about submission in marriage, not opinions, not culture, biblical truth. Because submission has become one of the most misunderstood and misused teachings in the church. When people hear the word submission, many immediately think of silence, control, fear, or oppression. And if we're being honest, some of that reaction comes from real experiences, not imagination. But here is the first truth we must establish. Just because something has been abused does not mean God designed it wrongly. Now let's go to scripture. Ephesians chapter 5 says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord." But it does not stop there. It continues, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her." You cannot quote one verse and ignore the responsibility attached to it. Submission is never given in isolation. It is always paired with sacrificial leadership. If a man wants submission but refuses responsibility, what he wants is control, not God's order. Let's be very clear here. Biblical submission is not slavery, it is not silence, it is not enduring abuse, and it is not losing your voice or identity. Submission does not mean a woman stops thinking. It does not mean she stops discerning, and it does not mean she stops speaking truth. In fact, Ephesians 5:21 tells us, "Submit to one another in the fear of God." That means submission in marriage is rooted in mutual honor, respect, and reverence for God. Now, this is where many people get uncomfortable because submission has been preached without accountability. Submission becomes dangerous when a man demands respect but refuses to love sacrificially. Submission becomes harmful when scripture is quoted without Christ-like character. Let me say this plainly. Christ never ruled the church through fear. He served, he protected, he sacrificed, and he died. So any man who wants submission must be willing to lead like Christ, not like culture, not like ego, not like entitlement. And here's a question many women are afraid to ask, but must. What happens when leadership fails? The Bible does not command women to submit to sin, abuse, violence, or ungodliness. Acts 5:29 says, "We must obey God rather than men." That means submission never overrides obedience to God, ever. If leadership is ungodly, irresponsible, or abusive, submission does not mean staying silent or enduring harm in the name of marriage. Now let's bring balance. Marriage was never designed to be a power struggle. It is not about who is higher or lower. It is about order, purpose, and partnership. When leadership is loving, submission flows naturally. It is not forced. It is not demanded. It is given. The real problem is not submission. The real problem is the misuse of submission without love, accountability, and responsibility. So here is the question I want to leave you with, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. Can submission exist without love? And should submission be demanded or earned through Christ-like leadership? Let's talk, because the church must stop avoiding this conversation and start teaching it in truth.